Greetings to all my 23 subscribers. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support. I'm hella grateful. This is day 10 of my no distraction challenge. No Netflix, no processed foods, no garbage, no attention hijacking, no scrolling, all of it. Um, Sometimes I find myself doing some of those things, but very minimally. I'm much more conscious of my decisions. And I don't have too much to say to you today, but I would like to share a realization that I came across yesterday that is kind of a remembrance of something I understood very well last year, and is very, very important for people to live a higher quality life. Don't judge people. don't don't delude yourself into thinking that you know what someone is about just by looking at them. But the interesting part about this is that when you are kind of just navigating through the world, you look at people and you don't actually articulate, like, you don't even have the monologue in your head go off. At least for me, I might see someone, right, and my typical judgment per se, my most go like the judgment that I most go to, it's not about like their appearance, it's usually their ego. If it's a dude and he's trying to, I just might be under the understanding that he might be trying to press me, and that is a projection of my previous trauma with people, with family too. So don't judge people, and it's almost like these gears turn in the back of my head, and I can't. If I'm not clear enough, it's incontrollable. It's uncontrollable. Um, like, I don't articulate to myself, "Oh, he must be very egotistical," in these couple sentences. It's not. It just happens automatically a lot of the times, and then it also prevents me from just going out of my way to connect or say something. And I've last couple of days I've been trying a lot more just to stop assuming what other people might be thinking. Stop assuming that they don't want to talk to me. Stop assuming that they might not be open to conversation. And there's one thing about them not actually wanting to, and they will let you know. But you assuming is kind of stripping power away from them. It's defining who they are without even having a single understanding to anything about their life. Um, it's really it's a lack of thinking effectively. It's a lack of wanting to use mental effort to absorb information from the present situation. Instead of doing the difficult thing, which is being present and absorbing information as it comes to me, I'm just making an excuse and saying, hey, this is similar to this person before. I already have this mental model. I don't have to do any new work. I can just, and then make an excuse like, oh, I don't really feel like it today. But in all reality, it's because I don't want to absorb more information. My brain is being lazy and is masking that as, or lazy or anxious, and it's masking that as, um, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like connecting with people, because every single time that I override this, like, literally yesterday, right? I'll give you an example. Um, I started off by complimenting this relatively attractive girl on her shoes because I had never seen them before. They're the popular New Balance shoes. They're a little bit bulky, but they're cool looking. But she had a specific colorway, so I complimented her and I said, "Hey, that's a dope colorway." And we had a short conversation, like maybe like a few lines, not even really a conversation, just an exchange. And yeah, it was nice. And then another woman had smiled at me and walked in and sat right next to me, and a little bit older than me, of Filipino descent. And I was thinking to myself, should I say something? She gave me a smile. She seems, personable, and sort of the thought had the thought process that maybe she just wants to sit next to a regulated nervous system, because that tends to make people feel calm. And then my mind was like, oh, she's just trying to absorb presence. This is how foolish my mind can be at sometimes, mind you. Like, I'm not. No one is perfect, and at least I'm conscious of these thoughts. I can externalize them through the form of this video, and also just sometimes I will just review them later on at night. Like what did my mind try to explain to me that was not based out of truth, not objectivity, because I don't have the evidence of any of these things. But this time I decided to override it, and I said hi, and we ended up talking about for about 20 minutes. And the length of the conversation doesn't matter, but I found that I was connecting with her, and learned little bit of her experience of being in the U.S. as a Filipino woman in the the medical industry. So, but it was nice. It was genuinely nice. But if I had just listened to my mind, the bullshit my mind was telling me, and overthinking, then I wouldn't have had that. And for some reason, there tends to be almost this snowball effect that once I get out of it once, like my mind's grips, and just um, throw that doubt out the window, then it just becomes easier and easier to conversate and connect with the people around me, and I become less judgmental because in the day, my mind has that, my psyche has that track record that hey, there's no point in judging because, like, remember the first instance we judged today, and it turned out so great. It's almost like a resetting process. But I was so good at this last year, where I did not have any sort of judgment going on within my mind. My mind was working very quickly, and I'm slowly getting back to that level. Slowly, slowly but surely. It would work in a way where I wasn't trying to live off of existing models and writing people off. And when you're in that state of non judgment, it is recognized by not only the person that you're talking to, but people around the vicinity as well. Um, and it can lead to just a lot higher quality of life, higher quality of exchanges, interactions, conversations, opportunities brought to you by people. Because to find someone that is not judgmental in today's day and age is very rare. A very rare percentage of people are not looking at someone and that background process is going off in their mind that they can't control. And a lot of it comes down to, are you keeping a clean mind through your decisions? Are you keeping a clean subconscious mind through your decision making? I find that the more that I betray myself through eating, scrolling, giving my attention away, and I know that I shouldn't be doing that because I have ambition, is when I begin to not have enough RAM in that brain for me to want to process more information. It's almost like my brain is giving me not a stopgap, but it's giving me a signal that hey, you're already processing a lot. You don't need to, like, don't go make a fool of yourself because you're already thinking about X, Y, and Z. But if you reduce that noise, that friction that's going on in your brain, and you're just you're surrendering to that present moment and surrendering to whatever information they give you, and also surrendering to the fact that they might not be open to it, because that is part of life, is that you will get rejected from time to time, and it is naive to think that you won't. But if you're surrendering, then you can truly learn about people and connect with people. And there's something with our brains and our body, the oxytocin that gets released when we truly connect. It makes us feel alive. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel connected. It makes me want to pursue my ambition even more. It makes me feel like I am even stepping even further into that best version of myself. A version where not only do I feel calm and good about myself, a version that people feel safe around me and safe to open up and teach me, help me learn. Because in these situations that I'm having good conversations with people, it is almost like we're painting a picture together when we're actually connecting, because it's not based off of any script. We're not talking about our last trip and trying to out grandiose each other with different experiences, or out personality each other. It is an opportunity to cultivate my own thinking, my own thoughts, based upon the topic, and it's an opportunity for them to do the same. It's an opportunity for both of us to get a little bit smarter, because the more we externalize our thoughts, um, the easier it is to understand and build better belief systems. But the more we let thoughts swirl, like we might have a good thought amidst like five bad thoughts, or but if we let it swirl around in the midst of those bad thoughts, we eventually forget. And when we speak, or we externalize in the form of writing, or we externalize in the form of some sort of creative expression that is a good representation of our thinking, then it's like an extension of ourselves, and that way we kind of have a marker. Like, hey, that's why I guarantee you, when painters or people that create different things, they can look at something and kind of understand the thought process that went behind that. They remember it very well. Whereas if they didn't pursue that, they didn't do that creation, that thought would just go back into the archives, or just not even. It might just be deleted in general, might not be available to them anymore. But since they externalized it, they almost made a memento of that thought. A lot of what we have today is a memento of thoughts. It's I, you know, a great thought has struck upon me, and I want to externalize it. And you gain a lot of dopamine from that. And I don't want to get into this topic too much because it's too much segues. But yeah, that type of dopamine, that delayed gratification of using your thinking to creatively express yourself, is a much more powerful and much more fulfilling, much more um, um, towards the betterment of yourself compared to the instant gratification dopamine that we have today through the form of highly stimulatory information, and like reels or TikToks, or instant gratification through food. You get high dopamine, a straight shot up, you know. Whereas when you're doing something, you set out to do something because of a thought you have, you're using that prefrontal cortex. It's almost like it releases a small little bit of dopamine as you, but it exponentially, yeah, not exponentially, but it slowly, gradually increases the amount as you continue towards the goal. Um, Whereas, like, if you were to look at it like a graph, when you're in instant gratification, you have a bucket of KFC, you just straight up and down. So you have to deal with the up, which doesn't last too long, and the down, which lasts a while to come back to baseline. Um, and that's where you run into the issue of, now you need multiple dopamine hops. Now you need your next dopamine hit to keep it stable. Your emotions relatively stable. I know no, that's a little bit separate topic, but yeah, to circle back, it's you'll have a much higher quality of life if you decide to clean your mind, clean the noise of your mind, and you open up some of that RAM, so those processes of being judgmental of others, because this is an uncontrollable thing. It's almost like a lower part of our brain, the animalistic part of our brain is running in the background saying, "Hey, we have a It's almost like a dulled or fragmented intuition about people, and it purely comes from the inability to make the right decisions for yourself. When you make the right decisions for yourself, things that you know you're supposed to be doing, then your subconscious is clean. It's not running those processes, and that's sort of what I felt yesterday. And also just conquering your fears too. It makes you feel much more powerful. Like I don't even know why I had the fear, and eventually, like with that woman yesterday, eventually I just came out and was just like, "Hey, do you mind if I ask you a question? What ethnicity are you? I'm just curious." And it has to do is start from that. Um, a man before that, he was in the sauna prior to that, prior to my workout. This is a little bit confusing, but I went to the sauna twice, once before and once after my workout. And the woman that I had spoke to from the Philippines was after, but before, when I had went, I seen a dude was wearing board shorts or swim shorts with bananas on them, and I just decided to strike up a conversation. I'm like, do you actually like bananas? Because why not? And guess what happened? We ended up talking about bachelor parties, his marriage for a little bit. Another guy chimed in on the conversation. We talked about Las Vegas, some of the fun to be had in Las Vegas. It started out with he bought the shorts in Key West, and and it can just go from there. I realize a lot of times when I don't have like I'm not able to have good conversations is when I try to predict the outcome. It's when I start to think, hey, this needs to be a great conversation. So I need to teach something or some bullshit like that. Some bullshit excuse my mind makes up to perpetuate some sort of identity. But it could start small and simple and then see where it goes, and then you don't play the game with the end in mind. Like when you're jumping in Mario, you don't just think about the last green pipe that you jump into. You have to focus on each little platform that you need to jump onto, eventually get to the green pipe. But I was thinking about the green pipe always. I was like, man, I want to, because when you're making the wrong decisions constantly, you can't take another hit on your ego. So if you're gonna go out of your way to have a conversation, it has to be a damn good one. So now you're forcing. Now you're in a state of I can't be present because this has to go well, and if it doesn't go well, I'm gonna feel even worse about myself than I already do. And with that, thank you. That's all I got for today.